Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. We did some x-rays yesterday, and they're checking the bone density. I go back in Monday afternoon and we will get the results and decide on what the further treatment is or what's necessary for the next steps. With that said, some of the pain that I was in was not just from the broken tailbone. It was also because I bruised really bad where the seatbelt was, from where it latches together and then wraps around the hips. I bruised really bad throughout there, and as I'm slowly moving into healing, we discovered yesterday that that bruising went pretty deep. So some of that bloating and some of that pressure that was bothering me, that I thought was purely the broken tailbone, wasn't the broken tailbone. Some of it was the bruising, because the bruising's pretty severe. I can't even lay on my right side at this point. Because where the seatbelt goes into the buckle, that pretty much left some major bruising on me. Can't lay on that side at all. Anyways, I'm happy to say that I have been healing. I can feel a difference when I look back over the last week. Since this happened, I feel a lot different now. I need to start getting out and moving a little bit, because I'm starting to get a little too stiff from sitting around. I'm still taking the anti-inflammatories at this point. It does make a difference. I'm not on the muscle relaxers anymore. I do, however, have gummies, and those do help relax. I actually think the gummies did much better than the muscle relaxers they gave me, but whatever. Anyways, I just want to touch base with you guys on that. I am now currently getting ready to go shopping for another car, because mine isn't drivable, and the longer I'm without a vehicle, the more in debt I'm getting, because, well, if I'm not out working and bringing money in, there's nobody bringing money into this house, so time to find a car. So there's a couple criteria that I decided on for a vehicle. Originally, I wanted to be able to flat tow it behind my RV. I have since, if I find one that I can, that would be my preference. However, it really is not that big of a deal as long as I can use a tow dolly with it, because once I get the settlement, I can always just purchase my own tow dolly and then not have to worry about renting or anything. Although I don't want to do the tow dolly, because that's not going to be as easy for me to take care of on my own to load up. So I would prefer other ways that are easier for me by myself. So we're on the lookout for a car. But the other criteria that I have decided on, I'm still a little staying concerned with gas mileage, but I'm willing to give it up. The car that just got totaled out got 37 to 40 miles to the gallon. And the tires were extremely cheap to replace. Main reason I bought the car. So I'm willing to give up some of that gas mileage and those cheap of tires, because I really want to go with something that's bigger. My son, after the ambulance took me away from the accident to take me to the hospital, my son got pictures. They had to go around the accident scene to follow us to the hospital. And my son got some really excellent pictures of the actual scene, from the different angle from where I was at. And it kind of put a lot into perspective for me. And then when I went and cleaned it out, that kind of opened my eyes a little bit more too. So I think I want to go with a bigger car, a bigger vehicle. So I'm looking at a 4-cylinder. I want a Jeep Wrangler or a Jeep Cherokee, or I'm okay with a Jeep Liberty. I just want it to be a 4-cylinder so I can get decent gas mileage. If you do the 6, you're probably only getting 17 to maybe 20, 21 miles to the gallon. That's not going to cut it for me. If that was it, then I'd have just kept my Jeep, because I had a 2018 Jeep Wrangler that I bought brand new that I was driving before I bought this Kia Rio. But the Kia Rio made more sense because it was cheaper and it just made more sense, me living in the city. Well, now that I'm starting to travel and I've got the RV, which I didn't buy the RV until a couple years after I bought the other car. So now that we have the RV and I'm traveling, I want something that I'm still going to get decent gas mileage on, but I can still go out and play. I can still go out and enjoy things. So if I get a Cherokee or a Liberty or a Wrangler, even if they're 4-cylinder, I'm still going to get, 28 to 30 miles to the gallon. And I'm going to be able to have 4-wheel drive, so then I can still go out and play off-road and still use it for a daily driver as I need it and whatever else. So we're going with a little bit bigger because I just think I'll feel safer with it. After seeing and realizing the damage, I don't want to be in a small car again. I used to joke with everybody how those smart cars were basically your coffin driving down the road. Yeah, kind of. I don't want a small car anymore. So I'm going to come back Monday after I get done with my appointments and find out what's going on, and I will fill you in on that. I wanted to have a conversation with you today about, let's talk about beauty and judgment. So, beauty is, as they say, in the eye of the beholder. But if you're like me, you can't find beauty in somebody until you get to know their heart and soul. So beauty is not something that comes to me. If I see somebody, they may be aesthetically pleasing on the exterior, and maybe they are considered pretty and beautiful, but I don't see that. I can't see one way or the other until I know their heart and soul. Because to me, beauty is on the inside. It has nothing to do with the outside. But if you have it inside, then the outside is just automatically beautiful too. I know that everybody talks, and it's been drilled in our heads about first impressions. I don't put a lot of weight on first impressions. Reason being is because I've met a lot of people over my lifetime that their first impression was not the greatest, but then once I got to know them, it was, well, what the hell? I would have judged them based off that first impression. That wouldn't be fair. I wouldn't have got to move on and be friends with them. So I know that in our society they talk about, and they've drilled it in our heads, that you've got to make a good first impression. First impressions mean absolutely nothing to me. And the reason being is because you really can't make a judgment call on something that you don't know. You just can't. And I know that we're taught that we should, but you can't. You're not making an informed, educated decision on a first impression. You have no idea what the situation is. And if you give the time, you might find out that they're great people. And I'm going to use an example of one of my very dear to me friends, Liz. I met her in college. We became friends. I would do anything for her. and I'm sure her for me, but there came a point in our friendship that she said to me that when she first met me, she didn't like me. I was taken back by it because I was like, what? Why wouldn't you like me? And she said that I came across mean and loud, and she said then once I got to know you, Danielle, those were your terms of endearment, which were geek, dork. I called people these things. Those were my terms of endearment. And the reason that I chose those type of words for terms of endearment is because people use those type of words as a means to cut themselves down or to cut other people down. And it's just a word. Geek is just a word. Why is it bad? I mean, they called me a nerd because, well, I am. I like to read. I got good grades in college. I graduated in the top of my class. I mean, okay, I'm a nerd. Why would I take offense to that? I don't have a problem with that. Everybody's version of what a nerd is slightly different too. So why do we put these negative connotations onto these words that don't really have to be that horrible? I mean, you teach children that you don't want them to cuss and swear, but you also don't want them to use the word geek or dork or nerd or the rest of it. I mean, come on, where does it end? Let's just look at words for what they are and stop making them good or bad. Depending on the way you're using that word, yes. If you're trying to do it to be cruel and mean, then that just reflects on what a rotten person you are. But in general, I've spent most of my adult life listening to people, using those type of words as negative. And I don't see them as negative. And I don't see them as negative because you can be mad at yourself for things, but the truth is, what's wrong with calling yourself a nerd? What's wrong with calling yourself a geek? They're not horrible names. So I think we need to change the way that we look at words. And first impressions are not always the best to go off of. My friend Liz and I are proof of that. So I'll leave you with that. Yes, this was a fly by the seat of my pants recording quickly before I head out to go check out some cars. But I just wanted to give you a heads up on what was going on. And I haven't been staying up as late lately because my schedule's messed up from when I was, on the medication and in pain. So I'm doing it now during the day when I'm awake. Which, yes, I've gotten a little tired now, but that's okay. Then I'll sleep all night. If I take a nap, I'm not going to sleep. So with all of that said, I hope you have a great day. I look forward to giving you an update on Monday, and hopefully I will have pictures of my new vehicle. Anyways, have a great Saturday. Stay out of trouble and be safe, and see you later. Love ya.